When a woman genuinely wants intimacy with someone, three very specific things happen in her behavior. Things that are documented in the behavioral science of courtship, grounded in neuroscience, and completely involuntary in their production. They are not the obvious signals most men have been taught to look for. They are quieter, more specific, and more reliable than any of the commonly discussed attraction signals because they appear specifically at the threshold of intimacy interest rather than at the threshold of general attraction. Three signs, all of them present when the wanting is real and specific. And the third one, the most counterintuitive of the three, is the one that appears last but confirms everything the first two suggested. Here is the distinction that makes this video necessary. General attraction and intimacy interest are not the same neurological state. They activate different systems, produce different behavioral outputs, and require different things before they develop. General attraction is the assessment phase, the brain evaluating a person and returning a positive verdict. Intimacy interest is what happens after that assessment has been completed and integrated to the point where the nervous system has moved from evaluation into something more specific, the active orientation toward physical and emotional closeness with this particular person. Research from the Kinsey Institute on the stages of sexual and romantic interest found that the behavioral signals produced during intimacy interest were distinct from the behavioral signals produced during the general attraction phase. They were more specific, more concentrated, and more focused on the mechanics of closeness, proximity, privacy, physical accessibility, rather than the broader signals of general positive regard. This distinction matters enormously for practical reading because the two phases can look superficially similar while being fundamentally different in what they indicate. A woman who is attracted to someone is assessing. A woman who has moved into intimacy interest has finished assessing and has arrived at a conclusion. And the three signs in this video are the behavioral output of the conclusion having been reached. Three signs, each one specific to the intimacy interest phase, each one distinct from what general attraction produces. And the second sign is the one that most men experience without realizing they have just been given one of the clearest possible indicators of exactly where things stand. The first sign is this: she engineers privacy without announcing it. This is the most architecturally significant sign of genuine intimacy interest, and understanding it requires understanding something specific about how women communicate desire without stating it directly. When a woman has reached the point of genuine intimacy interest, when the wanting has become specific and present rather than general and potential, she begins, without deliberate conscious planning, to modify the environment in which the interaction is occurring. Specifically, she begins removing social buffers. Other people, background activity, shared attention directed at anything outside the two of them. She finds ways to reduce all of it. This happens through what researchers call proximity engineering, the deliberate or semi-deliberate arrangement of physical and social circumstances to create the conditions for closeness. Behavioral scientist Timothy Perper, whose naturalistic courtship observation studies documented thousands of real-world interactions, identified environment engineering as one of the most consistent behavioral indicators of escalating intimate interest in his dataset. The woman begins architecturally creating the context in which what she wants could happen. In practice, this looks like specific things. She suggests moving from a group setting to a quieter one. She finds a reason for other people to drift away or leave. She positions herself in a space that reduces the number of people between her and the person she is interested in. She directs the interaction toward a physical context that has more privacy and less social observation than the previous one. None of these moves announce themselves as intimacy engineering. Each one has a completely plausible surface justification. The couch is more comfortable. The bar is less noisy. It is easier to hear each other over here. The justifications are real, and the engineering is real simultaneously. She is genuinely finding the quieter spot and genuinely finding it because the quieter spot is where what she wants can happen. Research from the University of Texas on female sexual communication found that environmental modification, the active creation of private or semi-private contexts, was one of the most consistent precursors to intimacy escalation in their study population. More consistent than verbal signals, more consistent than touch initiation. The environment changes first, and the environment changes because the person changing it has already decided what she wants the changed environment to make possible. Watch for the drift toward privacy. It is not accidental. The second sign is this: her physical posture opens completely, and she stops creating distance. This sign operates below the level of conscious social management, and that is precisely what makes it so reliable. In ordinary social interaction, people maintain a specific quality of postural awareness. The body holds itself in a way that manages the social distance between itself and others. Arms create light barriers. The body angles slightly rather than fully facing. The feet point generally toward the interaction rather than specifically toward the person. These are not deliberate defensive postures. They are the natural default of a body that is in social mode rather than intimate mode. When intimacy interest reaches a specific threshold, when the nervous system has completed its safety assessment of the person and returned a result that the parasympathetic system responds to as safe, the postural management drops. The body does not shift into this new posture because a decision was made. It shifts because the threat detection system that was maintaining the postural management has stood down. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar's social touch and proximity research at Oxford University established that the body's physical orientation in close interactions is one of the most reliable indicators of where a relationship has been classified in the nervous system's relational hierarchy. Intimate level classification produces full frontal orientation, open posture, and the absence of any physical barrier between two people. Not because the person arranged these things, but because the nervous system stopped generating the management behaviors that would have maintained them. In practical terms, this looks like she stops crossing her arms, she stops angling herself slightly away, she stops holding her drink in front of her chest as a light physical buffer, she stops placing her bag or other objects in the space between herself and the person she is with. Her feet point directly toward him rather than generally toward the interaction. Her shoulders drop and her chest opens rather than holding the slight protective engagement that most social posture involves. The critical detail about this sign is what does not happen. A deliberate social warmth, the kind performed for impression management, maintains certain postural elements even while appearing relaxed. The genuine postural opening that intimacy interest produces removes all of them simultaneously. There is nothing held. There is nothing positioned. There is simply the body in its fully accessible, fully oriented, completely open configuration. And that configuration is what the nervous system defaults to when it has decided that this is someone it is safe to be completely accessible to. The third sign is this: she slows down. Everything slows. This is the most counterintuitive sign, and the neuroscience behind it is the most fascinating piece of research in this entire video. When genuine intimacy interest reaches the point of active wanting, when the nervous system is in the specific state of being fully oriented toward closeness with a specific person, something happens to the quality of all voluntary movement and behavior that is not immediately obvious to the outside observer. Everything slows, the voice slows, the movements become more deliberate. The responses come after slightly longer pauses than they did earlier in the interaction. The entire pace of being across all behavioral dimensions drops into a different register. This deceleration is not tiredness. It is not boredom. It is the behavioral signature of the parasympathetic nervous system's full activation. Porges Polyvagal Theory describes the ventral vagal state, the specific parasympathetic activation associated with genuine social safety and intimate connection, as producing measurable changes in vocal production, behavioral pace, and movement quality. The voice takes on a lower, slower, more resonant quality. Movements become more measured and intentional. The entire tempo of the person's behavior shifts into what Porges calls the social engagement system at its highest level of activation. This is the state the body enters when genuine intimacy interest has completed its transition from wanting to being fully ready. The body is no longer in the quick, alert, socially navigating mode of general social interaction. It is in the slower, warmer, more open mode of someone who has arrived at where they wanted to be. The practical reading of this sign, the conversation that started at a brisk, energetic pace, has gradually become something different. Her laughter takes a moment longer to arrive. Her responses come with a pause before them that was not there earlier. She moves through the space at a tempo that is noticeably different from how she was moving an hour ago. Her voice has dropped slightly in register and slowed in pace. Research on vocal acoustics and attraction, published in the journal Evolution and Human Behavior, found that vocal pitch and speaking rate decreased significantly in women who were in states of genuine intimate interest compared to states of general social engagement, and that these changes were rated by observers as significantly more attractive than the higher pitch, faster-paced vocal qualities of general social interaction. The slowness is not a performance of sensuality. It is the neurological output of a body that has fully arrived in a state of genuine intimate wanting. When everything slows, when the interaction has taken on a specific quality of unhurried, warm, measured presence that was not there at the beginning, the nervous system has entered the state that genuine intimacy interest produces at its most complete. Here is the complete picture of what all three signs share and why they appear together at this specific point. The privacy engineering is the behavior of someone who has decided what she wants and has begun creating the physical and social conditions for it. The postural opening is the nervous system standing down its social management because it has classified this person and this situation as safe for genuine openness. And the deceleration is the full activation of the parasympathetic system's social engagement mode, the body arriving at the state it enters when it has genuinely reached a place of intimate wanting. All three are the output of the same internal transition, the transition from assessment to decision, from attraction to wanting, from being generally oriented towards someone to being specifically, presently, completely ready. Three signs, each one the behavioral output of a neurological state that produces them automatically rather than deliberately, none of them announced, all of them honest. When all three are present, when the environment has been engineered toward privacy, when the posture has opened completely, and when everything has decelerated into the specific, warm, unhurried quality of full parasympathetic activation, the assessment is over. The decision has been made, and the behavior is communicating it in every available register except the verbal one. She has arrived. Now you know what that looks like. Before this video ends, there is a deeper layer to this conversation that connects directly to everything we just covered. We just covered the three signs that appear when she wants you, the specific behavioral output of intimate interest that has reached the decision point. But here is the question that sits underneath all three signs. What does the wanting look like when it has gone further than interest? When it has crossed from wanting into something the research describes as the most consuming, most neurologically specific, most behaviorally distinctive state available in human emotional experience? Because intimacy, interest, and genuine love are different thresholds, and the behaviors that appear only at the love threshold, not the attraction threshold, not the intimacy interest threshold, but the specific threshold of genuine, complete, madly in love, are as specific and as involuntary as everything we just covered. And most men experience them without fully understanding what they are seeing. The video on your screen right now covers exactly that. It is called 7 Things Women Do Only When They Love You Madly, Love Psychology. It covers the 7 behavioral outputs of genuine love, backed by Helen Fisher's fMRI research, Arthur Aaron's self-expansion theory, Brené Brown's vulnerability findings, and John Bowlby's attachment research, that appear only at the specific threshold of genuine, complete, consuming love. This video told you she wants you. That video tells you when she loves you. Watch it now.